Over the last 40 years or so, we've been treated to a lot of different iterations of the Marvel Universe in toy plastic form. The first pretty much was Mego toys in the 1970s, and this was followed up in the 1980s by the Secret Wars line from Mattel. I even did a video on this. I'll link it at the end of this one if you want to check it out. And new lines get launched all the time. The new Marvel Legends 3 3/4 retro line is still getting its legs, but based on the packaging and the, I guess affordability of the product, it probably has a good life in front of it. And most collectors will agree that Marvel Legends tends to be the benchmark line, the one that is known as the greatest Marvel toy line of all time. And while I love giving out shiny trophies to people, and I think that everyone deserves to have them, jumping to Marvel Legends as the greatest Marvel toy line, while for a lot of us, yes, as collectors, overall it's kind of one of those kind of and sort of things. You have to look at a lot of other details, and there's a line that has been, well, let's say puts Marvel Legends to shame. I know, big claim, right? So yes, as adult collectors, Marvel Legends is our bread and butter. It's giving us definitive versions of so many characters, highly articulated, and for the most part, if you're up and ready to tackle the adventure of toy hunting, you can complete your collection. I mean, this X-Men shelf has taken me 10, 15 years to build, more if you count those Toy Biz figures like Apocalypse in the background there. So yes, it's great that older toys can be meshed with newer ones in one cohesive giant Marvel Legends line. I don't think they'll be doing Kazar anytime again soon. And it's great that sort of organically teams just get formed as more and more characters are released. And while we might have to go to a customizer to fill in some of the gaps, whatever part of the Marvel Universe we want to collect, Marvel Legends has done a great job of that. But the reality check is it's something that to have a complete set, you had to keep on this. You had to keep on this month after month, year after year. And we also know that the price of, well, action figures in general and toys is going way up. And we've seen Marvel Legends jump from $19.99 to basically $30 in a year and a half. Kids are also growing up a lot faster, which means there's fewer kids buying toys, and fewer kids buying toys means fewer toys for adult collectors to buy because, we kind of saddle back on that. Now, a lot of people talk about the Toy Biz pre-Marvel Legends line as one of the greatest Marvel lines, and it really is when you look at it sort of cohesively. While it sort of turned into an X-Men line pretty quickly since, well, they were, super duper popular in the 1990s, thanks in part to Jim Lee's artwork and the animated series. And they've become highly collectible over time. I mean, this is what the very first Deadpool figure ever was released by Toy Biz in their sort of 5-inch pre-Marvel Legends Marvel line. So we all have a lot of fond memories of this one, and the fact that I actually sort of wasn't into toys at that, this was sort of my junior high, girls' toys, grow up, I don't know, but it's what got me buying Marvel Legends today, sort of making up for not having all of these Toy Biz figures that came out right as I was making that transition from child playing with toys to adult collecting toys. So while they were definitely a generation's X-Men, in a lot of ways they've been replaced. But looking at the totality of what Toy Biz did, it started off with Marvel Universe, where we got some A-list characters and a mix of different, X-Men, Fantastic Four, etc., etc., and eventually, many of these characters, like Iron Man, would get his own line, or the Fantastic Four, again, would get their own line, usually always tied to the animated series. And as there were more animated series, there were more sublines. Spider-Man, even Ghost Rider got a go. So it was great. It was a way to get the entire Marvel Universe, but you had to keep up with a lot of different lines. You had to be collecting Silver Surfer just as much as the original Marvel Superheroes line, which was kind of a dumping ground for anyone who didn't fit anywhere else, like good old Deathlock here with his cyborg reveal brain. Other characters, like Doctor Strange, who never had his own line, did wind up showing up in things like Spider-Man. It's also interesting that oversized figures, or characters that we would think of as oversized, like Strong Guy from X Factor, or the Kingpin from Spider-Man, were sold as just standard figures. They were definitely bigger, though. I mean, they were by far twice as big as a regular figure, but they were there. Figures that nowadays are sold as either deluxe figures or Build-A-Figures. With this line, everybody got to play at the same SRP, and that's a lot of value. All right, we're going to get back to that. The other interesting thing to note is there really wasn't any specific regulation where a character could show up in a Marvel Superheroes line, but then also show up in a Fantastic Four line, which, again, helped tie everything together, Big Lebowski style. But what I really want to talk about are these 4 lines that came out at the tail end. The Marvel Universe, the Marvel Superheroes, the Marvel Hall of Fame collection, and then there actually was an X-Men specific one that was just called X-Men. All of these lines were, for the most part, reissues, and some of them got tweaks when they were reissued. The reason there were so many is a different one was created for each different retailer. So KB Toys had one. I'm trying to think. Puzzle Zoo was another retailer that had these. So Puzzle Zoo would get their own version of this. And this helped each retailer differentiate while they were, honestly, at the end of the day, kind of getting the same thing, just with slightly different graphics on the package. Essentially a best of Marvel line. And that's what these were. With the huge tooling bank between years of all the different animated series, with all of this available, Toy Biz. Wow, I'm so used to saying Hasbro with Marvel. When you say one thing, I mean your mother. Freudian slip. Okay, so yes, Toy Biz, a company that doesn't exist anymore, could easily take characters from Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, everybody but Deathlock really got to play, because almost every figure that was released found their way into one of these lines because they had to make so many different ones for each different retailer. They were customized programs, or what we would call exclusives. So in order to have a robust line for each retailer needing their own customized line, Toy Biz was able to mine the entire tooling bank of all the different characters. But what this did is it literally created a Marvel Universe. So even obscure Ghost Rider characters found their way into the sort of customized end-of-the-line program that was being created. But what was most important about this was the fact that this was the first time in years that everyone in the entire Marvel Universe was being sold on one card back. They were divided into their different animated series or different properties, which is the way the line started as Marvel superheroes. But more important than the branding aspect was the fact that during this time period, this was kind of like as the 5-inch line was ending and we were getting ready for Marvel Legends 6-inch, you could walk into virtually any toy aisle at any toy retailer and find all of the main characters. So, as an example, one of the ones that really stands out is the Hall of Fame line. So this was the one for Puzzle Zoo, if memory recalls. So while we got a lot of figures that were just reissues, there were some interesting things such as a theming wave, where I think it was the second or fourth wave, was all characters with removable masks. And Toy Biz was able to mine through all of the different available tools and pull out characters. There were also 2 waves of all female characters, which is almost unheard of. I mean, you just don't see waves of all females, and especially super, really obscure Marvel female characters. And what was really innovative was the way they could easily redeco using the basic body bucks. So, for example, this figure of Jennifer Walker's attorney at law here started off as an X-Men 2099 La Lunatica figure that got new soft goods. Hey, paint the skin green, and bam, suddenly you got a Savage She-Hulk. Elektra here also started out as a very different figure, started off as Psylocke from the X-Men, and you'll notice that they took the Psylocke buck and not only removed the hair piece, but they took the belt that Psylocke's wearing and moved it up and turned it into Elektra's headband. So, again, interesting innovation when trying to create newness without spending tooling dollars. And these are all reasons why this line is so significant. It also brought out characters that were desperately needed to complete sets, like Wolfbane, which is still needed in Marvel Legends to complete X Factor, hint hint, or of course the only Jean Grey we ever got in her animated series outfit was released in the Hall of Fame line. And you may ask, well, why is Jean Grey covered in all of that weird silver stuff? That's because she was a repaint of Domino. But at least we finally got a Jean Grey to complete that 1992, animated series look. Amazing. And that was what was kind of the icing on the cake with these tail end lines, was being able to wrap things up. So yeah, if I was going to give an award for the best Marvel line of all time, honestly, these tail end Marvel Universe branded, you mean the Hall of Fame, the superheroes, even the X-Men one, but less so since that's all X-Men. But yeah, they offered the key 3 things that you want to get to retail. quality. You got tons of selection, low cost. These figures were easy and huge amount of selection, just ridiculous. You could walk in and get a main character on shelf at any point. And that is really what ties everything together. Because ask that of Marvel Legends, and you just can't get that. You know, you can't walk into a toy store and get all these characters, but you could, thanks to those end-of-the-line Toy Biz 5-inch customized program lines. I hope you found this video informative, and if you did, please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments below, and I'll join you in the comment section. Thanks again.